Alrighty, hi everybody. So now we're going to use trigonometry to solve a right triangle. So to solve a right triangle, this means you're going to determine all six parts, all three side lengths, and all three angle measures of the right triangle. So when you are given a right triangle, you must be given two other parts. So technically that's three parts, because if it's a right triangle, you would have to know that you have a right angle and then two other parts. So you need at least one side. So you could be given an angle and a side. And if that's the case, you would subtract from 90 to get the other angle, and then use trigonometry to get the other two side lengths. And that's what we did in the first week. The other case is when you are given two sides. You can use inverse trig to find the acute angle, subtract from 90 to get the other angle, and then you can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the three sides. Or you could also use trigonometry. It's kind of up to you. You have a few options here as you go through. All right, so our first case, I'm going to say this is leg. So this is triangle LEG. This is a right angle. And I'm going to tell you that this is 5, this is Y, and this is Z. And I'm going to call this X, and this is going to be 56 degrees. Okay, so this would be case 1, because you are given a right angle for angle E. So you have a right angle, and I have the acute angle at angle L, and that's 56 degrees. And then you are given the side of LE. So kind of the same things that we've been doing before. You can always practice going through identifying your hypotenuse here. So this side is our hypotenuse. Across from the 56 degrees is our opposite side, and then this is our adjacent side. If you'd like to write out SOHCAHTOA, you certainly can. Okay, and then that'll kind of help you. But the first thing that we could do here is find angle X, and that's by subtracting from 90 to get the other angle. So I'm going to do 90 minus 56. So in the last video, I showed you how you could do everything with both calculator, with all three different calculators, the regular TI-30XS, the graphing calculator, and the phone. Today, and kind of going forward, I'm going to stick with this calculator. All right, so I have a 34-degree angle here, and that will be X. Okay, but you always have to pick your acute reference angle. So I'm going to pick angle L, and that is going to be my acute reference angle. And now I want to look at which side or sides do I know. And in this case, I know the adjacent. So I know adjacent and I know adjacent. So you actually have a couple of options here. So I'm going to go ahead and do cosine first. So I'm going to say the cosine of 56 degrees equals 5 over Z. And this goes into that case that we had talked about before. You are looking for the hypotenuse. Whenever you look for the hypotenuse, the variable is in the denominator. And so you can do that switch. So it ends up being Z equals 5 divided by the cosine of 56 degrees. So that's what I showed you in that other video. So 5 divided by the cosine of 56 degrees. And you're going to get a side that is 8.9 units long. I would say kind of just round to 1 decimal place as a rule. So this would be Z. Okay, and I know it says to use trig to find the other two sides. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So I just did the cosine, and now I'm going to do the tangent. So I'm going to do the tangent of 56 degrees. Use the reference angle that I chose. So I chose the 56 degrees as the angle that I circled. And now I'm going to say the tangent of 56 equals the ratio of the opposite side to the adjacent. So that'll be Y over 5. And now the variable's in the numerator. So when that happens, you're just going to cross multiply. So I'm going to get Y equals 5 times the tangent of 56 degrees. I don't need parentheses there, so I kind of regret writing that. And then I would just type it right into my calculator. So 5 times the tangent of 56. I don't need to put a multiplication symbol in, but if I do, that's okay. And I get 7.4. And then comb over here, and if you want, you could write everything in. So that's 34 degrees. This was 7.4, and this was 8.9. And I always like to double check. The smallest side is the 5, and that's across from the 34. The medium side is a 7.4, and that's across from the 56. And the largest side is the 8.9, and that's across from the right angle. So nice job, everybody. Thumbs up. We got it. Alternatively, after we had gotten the 8.9, if you had wanted, you could have done Pythagorean theorem and done 5 squared plus y squared equals 8.9 squared. And you can go that way as well, and that would have been fine. So you could have done cosine Pythagorean theorem, tangent, and then Pythagorean theorem. There were more than one ways that you could go about and do that question. All right, letter B, case 2. I'm going to call this bug, B-U-G. Let's all think spring and happy and warm thoughts. Okay, so this is going to be X, this is going to be 6, and this is going to be 2. And that's all that we're given. So we're really not given a whole lot, but this is case 2. So we are given 2 sides of our right triangle. So technically you're given 3 things because you're given the right angle and you're given the 2 sides. So we're going to use inverse trigonometry, which is what we just did in the last video. Okay, and I am going to circle my reference angle. So I'm going to pick B, and I'm going to label my sides. So this is the hypotenuse, this is the side opposite, and this is the side adjacent. Okay, and now I'm going to say, remember, SOHCAHTOA. I know information about the opposite side, so check, check. And I know information about the adjacent side, so check, check. Oh, wow, I can use tangent. So I'm going to say the tangent of B, tangent of acute angle B, is the ratio of the opposite side to the adjacent side. If you want to make that 1/3, you certainly could. They would be equivalent. So then we're going to say the tangent. Anytime you're looking for the angle, this is when you do the inverse. So we're going to do the inverse tangent of 2/6, and that will give me my acute angle. So I'm going to clear out my calculator, and I'm going to do second tangent of 2 divided by 6. I'm going to hit enter, and I get 18.4 degrees. And then you've done a lot of the good hard work, because now I'm going to do 90 minus 18.4. And this time I'm going to use my answer button. So remember, the answer button is above the negative. It'll save me a keystroke or two, and I get 71.56. So that's going to be 71.6 degrees. Now this one here, the 18.4, was the measure of angle B, and this is the measure of angle G. So I have found the 2 angles, and now the only thing that I'm looking for is X. So you could use trigonometry if you wanted, or you could just simply use the Pythagorean theorem. So that's going to be 2 squared plus 6 squared equals X squared. Go ahead and pause it and work it out yourself. Okay, 2 squared is 4, 6 squared is 36. So you're going to get 40 when you do the sum of 4 and 36. And I get 40 equals X squared. So the inverse of squaring is square rooting. So I get X equals the square root of 40. Now technically it's plus or minus, but in geometry we ignore the negative root because we are looking at a side length. And then this would simplify into the square root of 10 and the square root of 4. And the square root of 10 is a perfect square, so you get 2 root 10. If you wanted a decimal, that's perfectly acceptable. In this case, it probably makes sense to have it as a decimal, and then that would be 6.3. And then remember, we've talked about checking out our answer. So this was 6.3 over here. Okay, I've got some things up on the screen. Hopefully it's not bugging you too much. All right, and then B was about 18.4 degrees, and then this one was 71.6 degrees. And again, smallest side across from the smallest angle, medium side across from the medium angle, largest side across from the largest angle, and you are good to go. All right, great job, everybody.